And there you have it. And you just kind of keep doing that. You kind of play with it a little bit. One of the things I found with pasta is don't let it intimidate you. And as you can see, these noodles are fantastic. You'll be amazed. Okay, right now I think I'm going to quit because as you can see, that noodle is already pretty doggone long. And what I'll do is I'll cut it to shape there. Okay? Now that I've got the noodles rolled out, what I do is I just kind of cut them into even sections for the boiling pot. Now some people have asked me, well, can you dry these and store them? And I think the answer is yes, you can, but the reason is, well, why would you want to do that? You want fresh pasta, not dried pasta. I do notice that when I do roll it out and let it dry, it begins to crack a lot. So it's really not the best thing to try to dry it and store it. What I like to do now, while I'm getting the hot water ready to boil, is I like to go ahead and start making my bechamel sauce. And here we go with the classic bechamel sauce. This is the sauce that adds the creamy texture to this particular lasagna. We start with a 1/4 cup of butter. You can probably see it right there. And we begin to get that nice and liquefied. That's what I do. Now that the butter is liquefied, I begin to slowly add a little bit of flour, and this will begin to make a basic roux for our classic white sauce, known as bechamel. You want to make sure that the flour is cooked thoroughly before you add the scalding milk. So this milk here is scalding and ready to go, and now we begin to just slowly pour it into the, that's kind of making a mess here. I don't know why, but it is. It's supposed to not do that. It's supposed to be one of these pans that pours evenly, but unfortunately that didn't quite work out that way, so there you go. Okay, so we begin to keep stirring this, and eventually what will happen is it will begin to stiffen up, and that will be your telltale sign that your white sauce, your bechamel, is pretty much ready to go. And this bechamel, I can tell you right now, is already getting pretty viscous. And this is turning out to be a very, very thick sauce. And this is the sauce that gives it a real creamy texture to your lasagna. Okay, now we're just about in the home stretch here. We begin adding our fresh pasta noodles to our boiling water. And we will let these pasta noodles cook for about 8 minutes. Now it's time to drain the noodles. And we want to cool them down very quickly. And then a very critical step is we take these noodles, which are still pretty hot, and we put them into an ice bath. This is the secret. This will keep the noodles, help them to set up very quickly, and keep them from becoming so soft that they will begin to disintegrate. Well, we're in the final stage of our lasagna making. It's taken us several hours to get to this stage, but now we're ready to start assembling our lasagna. And so we begin by going back to that wonderful sauce which we made several hours ago, and we begin by ladling our first layer into our pan. I'm using this green lasagna pan because it's the color of a frog. And you're probably wondering, well, what's that got to do with it? Well, this lady, Terry, we call her the Fritchie frog. So this is the special lasagna pan. I thought green would be the appropriate color. Okay, now, once we've got our first course of sauce on the pan, this helps it when it cooks, of course, later on. The next thing we do is we take our noodle. Now, one of the things that I've learned by doing this is don't let these noodles intimidate you. Let me just show you. They've been resting now in their nice ice bath, and you will not believe how wonderfully huge these noodles can get. One that's really impressive. Ah, look at this. Look at this noodle here. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that noodle or not, but that is the noodle we're going to use to layer one of our first courses here. Now, sometimes what I do is I just fold the noodle back over itself. It's not going to hurt. Gives it an extra little bit of body. Okay. Here's another noodle that I'll just put alongside of it. Again, just make a nice layer of noodles. Boy, look at that. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our layer of bechamel sauce on top of this. And again, this is this classic, beautiful white sauce, which makes everything nice and creamy. You're seeing how I put that sauce there, little dollops here and there. Probably about maybe about six dollops of this sauce. And of course, once it begins to cook in the oven, it'll all come together. Now, the next thing we're going to add is a layer of mozzarella cheese. Now, I'm going to show you something here that I'm going to do. Now, we've got this here. But I'm going to show you another trick that I'm going to use today that I think is good. Okay? I found this really fresh mozzarella, and I think that this mozzarella here probably is going to be a little bit more flavorful. So for the rest of the lasagna, I'm going to use this mozzarella because this is a fresher variety, and I think it's going to bake a lot more. It'll complement the bechamel. It'll be nice and creamy. Okay, next what we do is another layer of the sauce, the lasagna sauce here. Where did I put I had a little, well, I just use this here. I just don't like to drip over this kitchen. I pretty much have been cleaning the kitchen in the last couple of minutes. Okay, and so then again we start with another course of noodles. Ah, look at this noodle here. Sometimes I'm absolutely amazed at some of the noodles that come out. Ah, look at this. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that noodle there, but look at this. Look at that noodle. Okay? So again, another course of noodles. And again, then we start with another course of sauce, and we build it to the very end. And finally, what I like to do is give it a dusting of freshly grated Parmesan. Nicely. And then finally, just as a little touch of color, I like to add a few little aromatic basil leaves to the lasagna. And there you have it, Carolyn's classic lasagna. This has been Father Francis. Thanks for watching. And until next time, keep on keeping on.